This is Arukh showing your des Simen Lamed Tes Sif Lamed Daz Lamed Zayin. This is supplemental day 266 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi series. It's the wrong volume. Lamed Dal. But time the reason why all these sirchas are no good when they're not considron and not even not considron when if they're not just not between chituch and chituch. Because these places the stircha is not lying at rest. The zumashachta kam is somebody spark in this lobe pulls in this direction, that lobe in that direction. Eventually, it's going to break apart. Means assuming off is not proper closure. Even from point, also from point to point. Even though they're adjacent to each other, since it's only on the point. Because I think it's easy for them to snap off. Koshki changes to me off, and it's certainly not a good closure. Koshki mishpuli shpuli is certainly from the lower end to the lower end. Since the unos are not connected to each other. I'm not sure which way it's a koshki. From the chud seems to be further apart than shpuli to shpuli. Maybe it's going from one incline to the bottom incline. I don't know why it's a koshki. Maybe some of the tips they do touch. Anyway, Mimel it automatically comes out that they're going to separate phase of stumi off. It's not a good closure. And as long as one side of the adhesion is not on the place where they have the cut. Even though the other side of the adhesion is on the place of the cut. It's obviously understood that's not when you rest, as we said. Those even further machnid. Even goes from one side of cut to the other side of cut. Meaning sure, it's only kosher if the sircha goes smoothly. In other words, directly. If it goes on an angle. Even though they're both in the place of the cut, it's also going to be shlo considron. The koshu cane, anything which is like this, so many sparks eventually it's going to snap. This is a severe stringency. If I mean a pashal out there, the widespread custom is to be lenient. That's the Ran Rabbeinu Yerucham. The Mal Sicham Lech Zersham to make the adhesion goes straight or an angle. If Al now since it's laying at rest. Lamavav. Say those of our rabbis say even from cut to cut. The sircha has to go throughout. In other words, throughout the cut, there shouldn't be any airspace. If there's an airspace, something like a window. But in one space, they'll separate from each other. But treif is treif. That's taisus, above, and the rosh, the name of the rach. The local people say the rabbis do not accept this stringency that there should be no window between the sircha and the body of the lung. Even there is a window. Since it is adhering from cut to cut, it's not going to split apart. Share it's kosher. Says the paskin. The kosher pilush. It's kosher even there is a gap. Even it's on an angle. Even the language Ram which we brought in Siflam, it seems that when the definition of constituent is when it is adheres throughout the entire cut without any windows, it's not being specific. And furthermore, it says in brackets, before that talked about the number of unos. They would say in this case it's like 2. And I'm not sure. You would have to look there to see how that counteracts any inference that a chalon is no good. Lamed Zayin. There are some rabbis. There is one of our rabbis, the Ran evidently, who wrote as follows: there's opinion. That which Rava said, the Shalok Sidron, if they're not in order, you can't check. That's when the only thing which they connects them is that adhesion. But if they're even if the lobes are not in order, but they are adjacent to each other. Even they're not in order, it's kosher. It's not going to separate. Yesh chasam half of those, like the opposite. Shloch sib shkidron besmuchas legamri. That Considron only works if it's completely adjacent. Ava besmuchas, but they're adhering. I feel Considron, even if they're in order, but there's the adhesion is some other part of the lobe. Then if it's going to snap apart a treifa. We don't pass on either of these opinions. Bein smucha ma'at, bein smucha ma'at, whether even if it's just a little bit adjacent, or bein smucha, or whether it's completely adhering. Considering ksheira doesn't matter. If it's in order, it's kosher. Shlo considering treif, it's not in order, it's treif. Again, it's to run. Yesh stop the kavanah. So what is one clear what he means? Ma'ar freshman smuchos legamrei usuchos. What's the between completely adjacent and adhering? If he means that there's a window, which is clarified in previous safe, the smuchas legamrei below pilush, that which goes completely adjacent is where there's no window. Smuchas high pilush, and adhering means there is a window. Or pilush, or perhaps they both label the window. The sircha, which is no good, is when it's just like a string which goes from one to the other. Whereas completely adjacent, it's not through a string like they but rather by a strong bond between the two of them. It makes no difference in the halacha because he says regardless it's okay. But prior to this, he wrote because according to the sheet of Rashi, there ain't sircha below neck that there's no sircha without a hole. The reason why when it's in order it's kosher, because the adjacent umar closes up the hole. They ain't kosher ella besmichin. So it comes out here that clearly that they're not kosher unless they are adjacent to each other. Below smichin, not adhering to each other, that's suffice. Does not suffice. We have to know the difference between these two parameters. I was trying to put some sources in my mail, but I didn't find anything like this in other places. And I think also that the Ran, after its conclusion, there's no difference between one or the other. That's Rashi and Rashi there's a difference as well. If not there's no sheet that's Rashi, the sheet that's Tosfos, then you should have specified the Ran, I guess, that's the sheet of Rashi and not the sheet of Tosfos. Okay. Now, next Sif is going to get into Sidron according to relative to Tosfos and Rashi, but that's it for today.